It's time for the Informer Report. President Trump now says Ukraine could possibly win back all its territory, that Russia is a paper tiger, and that NATO should shoot down Russian planes that violate NATO airspace. The SecDef has also called all of the senior military leaders to a meeting. What is going on? Why the change? And when did Ukraine become our problem? He definitely had the right idea about this initially, of not being sucked into a war in support of Ukraine, or anybody for that matter. I don't know where we're headed, but I don't have a good feeling about this. It is not good. Trump gave a great speech at the UN and called upon the European countries that have allowed themselves to be overrun by illegal aliens, most of whom are Muslim, by the way. He also called out the UN over the climate scam that we are still experiencing. My question is, why are we still even in the UN? I don't know. I don't understand why we support that entity. I understand we've cut some of the funding, but I don't know why we allow it to function on our soil, or why we are still members. They're anti-American. They don't do anything to support our initiatives unless we're paying them well for it. It's past time to get out of the UN. The National Guard troops deploying to Memphis, from the last word I got, will be unarmed. That is insane. I don't understand why Bill Lee would send them there. If it's dangerous enough, if the situation is bad enough to send a guard, you cannot send them unarmed. Let's hope this doesn't become a glorified police call under the direction of Governor Lee. Speaking of Bill Lee, his lack of transparency on the voucher issue, he claims that all 20,000 vouchers valued at $7,300 were reserved. We're not sure exactly what reserved means. There were 42,000 applications statewide. Half went to families meeting specific family income guidelines. The others were distributed without regard to income. In that first category, the limit was a family of 4 with an income of up to $173,000, well above the median income of most Tennessee families. That gives credence to the idea that the vouchers would be a subsidy to those already enrolled in private schools. The administration hasn't released any information on who is receiving the vouchers, and keep in mind, too, that private schools do not have to accept the vouchers. It's estimated that over the next 5 years, the program could add $1 billion to our education costs. All of this to violate the state constitutional requirement of funding public education. This voucher scam epitomizes the Lee administration. Deceptive. JDS is what the next topic will be. JDS is, this is something I created. It's Jewish derangement syndrome, kind of like Trump derangement syndrome. You know, there's some people who have Trump derangement syndrome that anything and everything he does is great. And then there's other people who have the TDS of everything he does is wrong. I mean, he can do nothing right. Well, it's kind of similar with JDS. There's some people who think they have the variation of JDS that we have to support Israel in all cases at all times. And, you know, the Bible says that God will bless those who bless Israel, and therefore, whatever they do, we have to bless them, especially with tax dollars. And then the other crowd is they can do nothing right. Anything and everything Israel does, or anything and everything a Jew does, is wrong. And they're the source of all evil in the world today. Well, I don't fall into either one of those categories. I will say this. I don't believe, and let me bring up something here that a lot of people have talked about lately, AIPAC, American Israeli, I can't remember what it calls for. This is a lobbying arm of Israel. But if your problem is that it's AIPAC, that the I stands for Israel, I think that's the wrong problem to have. The problem should be that we have anybody lobbying our Congress for a foreign country, any foreign country. I don't care if the I stands for Ireland. People should not be lobbying our Congress for a foreign country. Even if it's an American organization, to me, it's wrong to lobby for a foreign. That should be done through diplomatic channels. You know, we have treaties that are approved, but this lobbying, it's a problem. It's not just a problem because it happens to be AIPAC. It's a problem, period. I don't think that we should be tied to other countries. I think Washington had some good advice. Avoid entangling alliances. And we really need to do that right now. We're $37 trillion in debt. We cannot afford to continue to police the whole world. And I really do not understand why we care about what goes on in Gaza. That's not our problem. Let the Israelis handle it. That's my thought on that. Now, I understand there was earlier today, the president announced, and Netanyahu was there with him, they announced that they have a plan for Gaza. And President Trump said that, this would be eternal peace for the Middle East, which is probably the first sign it will ultimately fail, but maybe, just hopefully, it will work for at least a little while. It requires Hamas to de-radicalize. Not sure how that's going to happen. And of course, they're going to have to give up all the weapons. They can't have anything with the government, have anything to do with the government. Israel's going to pull out, and then the hostages will be released. A new international body is going to come in and govern Gaza. And President Trump is going to head the board. Per request, he's going to head the board. I thought we elected him to be president, not to be the head of an international board. So we'll see how that goes. It would be nice if it stopped what was going on right now. But, oh, by the way, I want to hit that a little bit more. This with the JDS. I hear a lot on the right now, they sound like the far left. Because every time they talk about Israel, you hear occupiers, Zionist, genocide. 65,000, this is the latest number, if it's accurate, 65,000 have been killed in 2 years in Gaza. Gaza is very heavily populated. They got millions of people, and it's really tight. If the best that the Israelis can do in 2 years is 65,000, and they're actually attempting genocide, then they're not very good at genocide. I mean, it's insane. So just make sure that that you don't have JDS. It's not good to have either variation of JDS. Not the variation that says anything and everything they do is fine and that we should give them money, or the JDS that says anything and everything they do is wrong and that they are the source of all evil in the world today. So just kind of check yourself. I could go on about that, and I probably will do another segment on that, but I don't have the time tonight to go into it. That wraps up this installment of the Informer Report. If you have a news story that you want to alert us to, be sure to send an email to tninformer.tv@gmail.com.